Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Enhance Your Career Path by Earning an Online MBA at UCL While Working. My name is Martina, and I'm the moderator of this online session on behalf of the MBA selection platform Unimi. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today and to thank to our panelists for sharing their time with us today. You will be able to type your questions in the Q&A or in the chat box. So if and whenever you have any, please type them in the chat box or in the Q&A, and you will be sure that our panelists will give an answer to all of them. I would like to give the floor now to Ashley, who is a Director, Admissions and Student Success at UCL School of Management.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Martina, for the introduction, and welcome to all of you that are in attendance today. It's always an honor and a privilege to get to conduct these events. And I just want to give my panelists a quick shout out and thank them for their time. Yuan, Wendy, and Tom, really looking forward to engaging with you today. And as Martina had mentioned, my name is Ashley Young. I'm the Director of Admissions and Student Success for the Ucl Mba. Offered by the UCL School of Management. Over the next few minutes, I'm really going to take you through a brief introduction to the Ucl Mba Global, which of course is an online MBA program offered by the UCL School of Management. So if you give me a minute, I'll just quickly share my screen. All right, there we are. So without further ado, we'll jump straight into some information with regards to UCL to start with. And that information is pertinent to being a little bit more, giving you a little bit more context to who UCL is. So UCL is a world-renowned institution with its heritage that dates back to 1826. UCL is a top 10 global university with a current ranking at number 8. UCL is also the third largest university in the United Kingdom, and we boast a worldwide alumni network in excess of 300,000. So really a large group of individuals gone through UCL, and a wonderful opportunity to potentially connect with those individuals. Then a little bit more information about the UCL School of Management. So the UCL School of Management itself is located at 1 Canada Square in Canary Wharf, and it has a focus on creating disruptive research and entrepreneurial leaders for the complex, interconnected world of the future. The School of Management was established in 2007 in tandem with the UCL Innovation and Enterprise. And then in 2015, the Department of Management Sciences and Innovation was renamed the UCL School of Management. The School of Management really went into focusing its efforts into 5 distinct areas. And these are specifically looking at organizations and innovation, strategy and entrepreneurship, operations and technology, then looking at marketing and analytics, and then finally, finance, accounting, and economics. So really well-rounded and looking at that business context. Then specifically looking at the footprint of the UCL School of Management, the School of Management is split into 2 main locations, that being Bloomsbury and Canary Wharf. So the Bloomsbury campus is the home of UCL's main campus and where the School of Management offers its undergraduate programs. Then we have a Canary Wharf, where the School of Management offers its graduate programs out of 1 Canada Square, where we occupy the entire 38th floor and the beautiful penthouse suite, the 50th floor. Incredible views from up there. Then looking at the current slide on screen, we have some of our faculty members, and our program structure is designed and delivered by the same esteemed academics who teach on campus at UCL. To name a few of those faculty members on screen, you've got Jim and Paolo, Rika, Davide, Belial, and Neil, Lindsay and Maya, just to name a few. Some really incredible minds and industry experts in their own right of understanding the context of how business meets industry. Then looking at the design of the UCL MBA. So the program itself is designed for the future. And what we mean by that is it's designed for the working professional, where we understand that often that flexibility is often required in these different instances. And with that, the 210 credit UCL MBA program can be completed in as little as 24 months or up to as many as 60 months. So that either being the 2 to 5 years. And what that really does is it allows you to mold the program and gives you the flexibility based on your personal and professional circumstances or schedule. The program itself is broken up into 10-week terms where you can expect to complete 90 minutes of synchronous content, which is in the format of your live seminars. And those live seminars delivered through this very platform, Zoom, where you will have your faculty member and up to, of course, 15 to 18 of your classmates, where you will engage directly and you engage directly and discuss very topical scenario-based conversations in those particular sessions. You'll then also be expected to engage with roughly 12 hours of self-paced coursework in the format of your asynchronous learning materials, and we'll discuss those a little bit more in a couple of slides' time. Then looking at the structure of the program and how the modules are essentially put together, throughout the program, you'll cover 12 taught modules, as well as a capstone project as part of the Ucl Mba. So essentially that's broken up into 8 core modules, 4 elective modules, and of course your capstone project. Looking at the core modules, and your core modules, we call them core modules because they're the compulsory ones, the ones that you really need to ensure that you are covering as part of the basis of an MBA structure. And those modules include the data analytics advantage, critical leadership decisions, marketing science and strategy, business economics, leading organizations, business strategy, operations management, and your accounting and finance for managers. And then we do have a sample of some of the advanced electives which you can expect on the program. And those include managerial finance, issues with corporate reporting, your corporate strategies and mergers and acquisitions, negotiation and leadership decision-making, your leading global teams, engaging digital customers, which is your advanced marketing program, or module rather. And then the final step is, of course, completing your capstone project. And within that, there's 2 options to the capstone project. The first option is an individual capstone, and that in itself will be focused toward a specific organization of your choosing. The second option to that is a group capstone project, which is rather than focused on an organization, it's focused on a specific industry. And the objective really for the capstone project is to enable students to utilize the skills, the methods and techniques to learn and that they've learned throughout the program to analyze and forecast growth potentials for their particular organization or industry of focus. Then we have one of the most exciting components to the Ucl Mba is this opportunity to engage at immersions and orientations. The idea behind immersions and orientations is that you have that opportunity and chance to maximize your in-person interaction with your and build your network. The orientations themselves, they typically are a 3-day program orientation, which is designed to familiarize you with UCL, including the historic Bloomsbury campus and our home at Canary Wharf. Then your immersions are focused toward 4-day immersions that take place periodically throughout the year and serve as the personal and professional development summit as part of the program. So those happen periodically throughout the journey of a typical year on the program. Then the digital campus, and welcome to the digital campus, that is really the online environment that you will be engaging with as part of the program. So the digital campus is where your asynchronous content can be found. It also houses all of the details for your live weekly seminar sessions. Your asynchronous content really consists of all its static learning materials. So it's everything that's there, regardless of when you would like to access it. And that includes things like your pre-recorded video lectures, your module notes, your discussion forums, your presentations, or any of the written assignments that you would need to engage in. And then the other component to that, of course, is that live seminar session, which happens in real time, delivered via Zoom, where you will engage with your faculty members and classmates. And that's typically 90 minutes, either on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and it happens in the UK evening time. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because the next slide is quite pertinent to those individuals that are looking at taking the Ucl Mba from a global perspective. And what we've done is we've taken the opportunity to populate a number of different time zones from all over the world, because this, yes, is a global program. We have students as far as New Zealand and Australia and right the way through the world, Africa, continental Europe, and into North and South America. So we have students from all over the world, and those live classes are such an important component to the program that it is important to understand how and what time those live classes could be in your particular time zone. Then looking at, or back to the digital campus itself. So the digital campus, when you log into the digital campus, you'll see typically the dashboard that you would see on screen at the moment. And just to highlight a few things and give you insight into what that looks like. So at the moment on screen, you'll see your next meeting in the top left corner, or your next meeting or your live seminar session. You'll have your study list, which is populated as you go through the content and would like to revisit any of the particular sections. You'll also see the modules that you are registered for. In this case, it's operations management and business strategy. Actually, 2 of the modules that are running this term, so really, really exciting. Also on the dashboard, you'll see a few other tabs, and those are particularly on the left-hand side. Those incorporate your modules, so that's where you would access your particular module content. Any of the meetings, so those are your live sessions. Any of the groups associated to the program. So if you've formed and developed and are part of a study group, there's the opportunity to create those groups in there or be part of those. Your notifications, any of the support structure, whether that be your student success advisor or any of the technical support components. And then right down at the bottom, you have that opportunity to toggle the digital campus into night mode, which for those of you studying a little bit later in the evening and going through some of that content, it just puts a little less strain on of course, your eyes. Then an exciting component to this is also the access on the go. And as a business professional, the digital campus and the online mobile campus is really a space for you to be able to engage with content no matter where you are. If that's during a commute to work or a commute home or on a business trip, this is a wonderful opportunity to have access on the go. And within that access on the go, you'll have the ability to access your coursework. You'll have the ability to watch your videos and view any of your course slides. You can download any resources and documentation, answer any questions and complete tasks through the mobile campus, as well as then you'll have the ability to download content for easy access when you're on the go. So if you are connected, you'll have that ability to download the notes that you would like to, or the slides that you would like to go through, and then the opportunity to access that as you please. And then just remember that anything you do in the offline mode, it does automatically sync up and allow that connection once you've re-established internet connectivity. Then briefly to touch on some of the support structures on the program. So throughout the entire journey, you'll have the ability to engage with the student support. And within student support, you have a dedicated student success advisor who's there to help you throughout the entire program. It also incorporates 24-hour technical support for any of the IT components that you may have. You also have then the ability to engage with your career coaching, career support, and any accessibility networks that are fully available to you. So really engaging with the likes of Lorenzo and Eugene, who are there from a careers perspective and supporting you through your career journey. Then the entrance requirements to the program, and these are the last couple of slides. Applicants who meet the minimum are expected to meet a minimum of upper class bachelor's degree honors or a 2-1. That typically you can find out the UK equivalencies of those or equivalencies for international qualifications. Applicants must also have a minimum of at least 5 years worth of work experience. We do review applications holistically, taking into consideration your academic background, your motivation, and your personal and professional experiences. Some exceptions may be made to these particular requirements, but those are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. And then in your application, if you are looking to submit an application to the UCL MBA, with meeting those requirements, you are required to include things like your resume or your CV. There's a component to do a recorded admissions interview, which is either conducted with myself or one of the senior advisors on the program. You'll also then include your personal statement, which is broken down into 3 micro essays. You'll also have 2 references, and those being professional references, ideally a supervisor or a manager. Include your transcripts. I always say, if you're going to include your transcripts, add the degree certificate at the same time. It makes life a lot easier. And then, of course, the application fee of £150. And for those of you that are in international non-majority English-speaking countries, just bear in mind that you may also have to submit an English evaluation test or proof of English proficiency. Then the last step is, should you have any particular questions or queries and wish to apply to the UCL MBA program, please feel free to reach out to the admissions team. They are available on our contact number, which is on screen at the moment, or reaching out to admissions@onlinelearning.ucl.ac.uk, and you'll be able to engage with us. thank you very much for listening to the quick presentation of the UCL MBA. We are going to start with the panel discussion in a minute, and within that, I'm just going to ask Wendy, Yuan, and Tom to please just give a quick introduction, and perhaps we can start with Tom just to give an introduction. Who are you? What do you currently do? And perhaps just paint us a little bit of a quick picture of what your career journeys look like at this stage.
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. Currently, I work in tech at a software company as senior project manager, but my background is actually in the built environment, specifically construction, land development, and research. Sustainability is the thing that links my career together. And moving forward, I'm looking to transition into a sort of sustainability strategy type of role.
Wonderful, thank you, Tom. And then we'll hand over to you, and perhaps you can tell us the same, just who you are, the industry you're involved in, and pretty much essentially what as Tom has just given us.
Sure, Ashley. My name's Yuan. I actually relocated to London 18 months ago. Past 13 years, I basically based in Beijing, and I had my own architecture design studio for 5 years. Then I have to close it down, relocate to London. My next job starts 1st of July, which is next week. So fingers crossed, for a sustainability design firm.
Wonderful, thank you. And then last but not least, Wendy, if you can give us a quick introduction, who you are and what it is that you currently do, and of course, any other career insights that you have from your side at this stage.
Thanks, Ashley. So I'm Wendy. I'm originally from the United States. I've lived and worked in quite a few countries. So started in the United States, and then from there I moved to Hong Kong with my company, and traveled to China most days, kind of sourcing, purchasing. And then from there I moved to France, and was 2 years in France and now to the UK. So I've currently lived in the UK for 20 years, and my background is mainly in the health and beauty sector, and supply chain logistics, purchasing, product development. That's the sector that I've mainly been working in.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank each of you for sharing a little bit more context as to who you are and what your careers look like at this stage. In terms of you looking at pursuing an MBA, and I'm sure that took on some considerable consideration when looking at different options and considering different things. Was there anything in particular, or what characteristics about the UCL MBA made you realize that this was the correct program for you? And perhaps we can start with you for this particular question.
Sure, I actually did research. I think I start why MBA first, then why UCL. From my personal experience, why MBA, I think there's 3 things strikes me if you want to enroll yourself into MBA. Is either, first one, either you want to move your job within the organization. Say, before I was an architect, now I want to move to management. That's one reason. 2 is if you relocate, like me, I relocate from Beijing to London. 3 is basically if you want to pivot your industry from, say, from design to consultancy. So that happened to me 3 in the same time. So for me, obviously, it made perfect sense for me to enroll into MBA. Why UCL? Wow, if you're in London, I can't think another school you want to apply for. Lots of time for MBA is really networking. I really value UCL's alumni networks, and it's big school, it's open, countless opportunity for me. I had a lot of help from UCL and School of Management in terms of a career pursuit, in terms of even training me to how to draft my resume. So yeah, I think so far, so good for me.
Wonderful, and thank you for sharing. And then we'll hand over to Wendy for this one, and then over to Tom.
I agree with everything that Yuan said. First of all, it's why do an MBA? But I think the UCL one, for me, there's really 3 reasons. First of all, I wanted one with a good reputation. And, UCL being in the top 10, again, number 8 on the rankings that just came out. So that was quite important to me. Second, I travel a lot for work, mainly to the Far East. So I needed something that was online that really appealed to me. So I could do it while I was away and I didn't have to take modules off. So that was quite important. And the third reason is I really felt like I needed to stay relevant in my career. So I haven't been in formal education for 20 years. And I think the data analytics side of this particular MBA is what really attracted to me as well, because I feel like that was something that's probably missing in my career. You know, being in supply chain, you tend to kind of go down one avenue, and I kind of wanted to strategically go back and look at the kind of the data side and understand it a bit more, and it will pivot my career at some point. I have no doubt.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. If you don't mind me perhaps asking a follow-up question there, with all of the traveling and looking at particularly to the Far East and considering all of those things, what's it like doing an MBA across multiple time zones?
I think it's no different because I have the office, right? So the office is in London. We have clients in the USA, we have clients in Europe, we have clients in the Far East. You know, we purchase a lot from the Far East. So doing an MBA on a similar time zone isn't that much different than, you know, than the work environment. So yeah, I think it's been quite easy, you know, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not bad. It really isn't. It fits in quite well.
So you've definitely had some of those classes where it's a morning class, an afternoon class, and an evening class, and so
Yes.
it's really exciting.
Exactly.
And then Tom, I'll pose you the same question. Were there any particular characteristics about the Ucl MBA that stood out for you in making your decision?
For sure, yeah, and I think definitely building on what both Joanne and Wendy have said, for me, you know, an online program was essential. So right out the gate, UCL, you know, definitely ticks that box. Above that, there were kind of two other points. So as Wendy said, the program's really sort of data focused, and something that I liked about the UCL program particularly is it was built from the ground up, and it aligns all the traditional MBA content that you would want and expect and need with, you know, data and analytics and technology and innovation, which I really valued. And the second point is that the program is relatively small, which I saw as a massive benefit, you know, in terms of small class sizes for online lectures, increased contact time with faculty, and definitely the increased access to the professional services offerings.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And yes, those smaller classroom dynamics, they allow for such a rich engagement with both the faculty member and your classmates in getting those unique experiences of how it applies in each person's different context. So I thoroughly important in terms of making sure that is a manageable class size. And speaking of which, and perhaps Tom, we can go straight to you for this question because you brought this one up. But what was your first week on the program like? What sort of emotions did you experience in that first week? And yeah, if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
For sure, yeah. So I think for me, the main emotion was just, you know, excitement to get started. You know, it's a few months between, you know, deciding on the UCL MBA, you know, applying, waiting for your decision, preparing for the start of classes. So when the first week rolled around, I was really ready to go. I liked that the first live session just jumped straight into the content. There wasn't any sort of meet and greet and, you know, a whole week's worth of, you know, icebreakers and stuff. It was right in, and definitely an expectation that everyone was prepared, and it covered all the asynchronous content, was, you know, really ready to contribute. And with the 10-week terms, there was no time wasted, which I really liked. And building on that, yeah, the live sessions are invaluable, and they really link everything together, you know, as well as the module leaders covering the key points in more detail. You know, you can dig into the cases thoroughly, and like everyone said, you know, hear from different students and what they bring. You know, there's massive diversity in backgrounds and also geographies. So it's really interesting to not just hear different points of view, but explore them a little bit and draw on, you know, different cultures and different sort of, you know, levels and where you're coming from.
Wonderful, and thank you so much for that. And I suppose, Wendy, I think I can jump back to you in terms of asking the same question around, you mentioned you hadn't studied something for 20 years and jumped back into the education environment. And what was your first week like? What was that first sort of live class, and what was that experience like for you?
I was scared. Definitely scared, scared and excited, both. Yeah, I think because I hadn't been in formal education for 20 years, it's, what, here I go. But yeah, everything that Tom said, I think you jump straight into it. And the nice thing is you complete the async material before class. So you come to class prepared, you know, everybody's ready to go, and you jump straight in, and you do only have 10 weeks and there's a lot to cover. So I think from the minute you get into the kind of live class, you're in it, and you calm down and everything's fine. The teacher's great. There's a lot of support from the other students. We've got our own WhatsApp groups, so you know, we can chat through if anybody can't find anything, or you know, things like that. So yeah, I think my probably my scaredness went away quite quickly, and it just turned more into excitement.
That's really wonderful to hear, and that excitement for live classes and engaging with each other is always nice and positive. And I suppose even after immersions, even more so, where you have that like sort of bond with your classmates. And you had a bit of the trifecta. You moved to a new country, you were taking on an MBA, you had a new company that you're working with. Like, what was it like for you in terms of exploring your first week on the program?
Sure. I think I'm agree with what Tom and Wendy said. I'm kind of a little bit in between of them. What I found most exciting is, I think, because my classmates all came from a different background. I remember my first class, in my class was about 12 people. They're doctors, the people work for pharmaceutical research company, marketing people, and working for governments. Is just such a broad background and diversity. So we have to fight to asking questions to the professor. So it's really lively, active class, and you really the knowledge you gain through live session is really great, because some elements you will never be able to think of. And when your classmate reads that point, it actually helps you to dig a little bit deeper to the subjects we're studying. So that's really, so far, is really the most enjoyment I gained through from that session.
Wonderful. That's really good to hear. And I think in terms of the next question was really looking at how you found the interactions with your seminar leaders and your classmates. And I think we've kind of touched on it in a couple of different spaces. But if perhaps I could ask you to use one word to explain the interaction with your classmates and your seminar leaders, what would that be? And I know I'm asking this question a little bit more off the cuff, but Tom, I'm gonna jump to you first and see if you could use one word for that.
I think if I had to distill it down to one word, probably outstanding.
That's good. That's good. Always a nice, outstanding answer. Thank you, Tom. And then for Wendy, on your side, what single word comes to mind for you?
Inclusive.
Inclusive.
I think, yeah, inclusive. And then the other word I would say is quite rich as well, as quite a rich communication between us, but and very inclusive. Like Yuan was saying, you know, everybody's invited to comment and learn. We learn a lot from each other, as well as the seminar leaders.
Wonderful. And then Yuan, if you could think of one word that came to mind when I asked the question, what was that?
I would use reflection. And may I explain a little bit? I think a lot of us, you know, high caliber, you know, successful people, sometimes I see them as reflection, like looking myself into the mirror. So you learn, sometimes good, to be honest, sometimes bad, because you learn people, you know, when you have a little bit success, you might become a little bit arrogant, and you look yourself in the nasty side on other people, then you become humble. You knew, even you got the greatest idea, you know, best concept, but once you're arrogant, people lost interest, they don't want to work with you. So being entrepreneur, you need to make yourself likable. So that's most thing I learned from this.
Wonderful. And thank you for the one-word answers. And I know I put you on the cuff for those, so thank you very much for that. Then I think I'm going to ask this question in terms of just painting a bigger picture of what a typical day looks like in your world of managing work and managing your study, work-life balance. What does that look like? And I think, Yuan, I'll go straight back to you with this one and say, what does a typical day look like for you as a UCL MBA student? And perhaps you can describe what that looks like.
It's going to be hard. You can lose your weekends. You're going to lose quite lots of evening time. You know, if you want a beer, then maybe a beer, but you can't have two. So yeah, it's going to be intense to juggling both with your kids, family life, professional life, and the UCL studies. So you really got to have that motivation. You really want it. And that is the biggest motivation strength you have, will help you get through.
Wonderful, thank you. So definitely losing a little bit of pub time. Then for Tom, I suppose the same sort of question, but perhaps maybe going along the lines of how do you typically structure your study day? Or do you kind of leave that all to the weekend, or do you break it down into little bits of pieces? What does your sort of study day look like?
I would say definitely don't leave it all to the weekend. It's going to be a struggle. I think probably, as with everyone, it depends. I mean, most people on the program work, whether it's self-employed or for a company. So there's always going to be that component that's generally, you know, during the day. So it's on you to organize your day around that. I think me and a lot of others are working remotely, or at least a hybrid. So that definitely gives you a little bit of flexibility. You know, if you need to steal back a little bit of time, you know, if you're working with group members on different time zones, or there's a deadline coming up, that can be really useful. But for me, I mean, you know, I try and do a little bit of everything every day. So if I'm taking 2 modules a term, I'll always dig in a little bit to both of them. As Wendy, I think, mentioned, there's the expectation to complete the asynchronous content before the live sessions. So, you know, there's always, you know, 2 or 3 hours a week just for that. Then, you know, you're doing readings, you're getting your casework done, you're preparing, and, you know, you're thinking about your engagement with the material. After the first couple of weeks of each term, the assignments start. So whether they're smaller individual or, you know, or group assignments that last the term, that time has to be factored in as well. You know, discussing with the team, having meetings, and again, you know, if people are in different time zones, that has to be taken into consideration as well. So I think for me, it's just about, you know, getting a broad picture of what needs to be done in a week, and then organizing more granular as you go. But I'd say being flexible is key for sure, because there are things that can pop up with the MBA. There are things that can pop up with school. So I think being prepared and, you know, being ready, not leaving it all to the last minute, and not leaving it all to the weekend is definitely my recommendation there.
Brilliant. Definitely do not leave it to the last minute. There's plenty of asynchronous content to go through. And yeah, I mean, being prepared for those live sessions is the wonderful opportunity to come into that and really being able to learn from each other, and that collective learning and that sense of applying things in context, which is really important to an MBA. That's where it comes to life. And then, Wendy, I suppose we can ask you the same question in terms of what does a typical day look like in your world? I mean, dealing with stakeholders and perhaps traveling all over the world. How do you fit your studies into your typical day?
I tend to use the mobile app quite a bit. So if I am in the UK, which I'm in a hotel room right now, but if I am in the UK, I use the mobile app. I have about an hour-ish commute to work. And I do watch a lot of the async content, or read a case study, or a lot of times we're researching for different projects or papers. So I'll sit and I'll just research while I'm on the train. So I do use that mobile app quite a bit to do that sort of thing. But it's just, I think I kind of have to look at each week, you know, as it comes and fit, you know, when I know I'll have a few hours here or there to fit the study in. So yeah, it probably only happens week by week for me, because I'm trying to figure out what my schedule is, you know, if I have commitments in the evening, you know, so when's the best time to try to, you know, squeeze the hours in. But it's interesting as well. I mean, it's something to look forward to. I don't, you know, I'm not begrudgingly thinking that I have to do my studies, because it's very interesting.
Wonderful. I love the fact that you use the mobile app. And which functions of the mobile app do you find yourself using most? Is it for watching the content, or do you pre-download some of that content and access on the go? Which of those is most prevalent for you being used on the mobile app?
Yeah, I don't pre-download, but I do watch the all the async. And I think the other thing that comes up quite a lot is we'll get a notice that one of our grades has come in, and then you're straight on the mobile app to see what your grade is. So I think that's one of the things that happens all the time. We have little reminders that come up, and when that comes up, it's like, oh, I have to see my grade. So you don't have to wait, right, till you get home, or you're by your computer. You can just see that on the go.
Yeah, that instant connectedness to your gradebook is always nice and important, especially when they're released and you're nice and excited for the wonderful term you've just had. Then I suppose we've got a couple of minutes left, and there's two last questions which I would like to try and ask. And the first one is, I think we might only be able to squeeze one more in. The question which I'm going to ask you is, and we'll go straight back to you, Wendy, perhaps for this one, is what would your advice be to anyone considering an MBA at this point in their particular careers?
Do it. I think I don't know why you wouldn't do it. It's, like I said, I think earlier, is for me, I want to stay relevant. I want that in my career, in my life. I've met amazing people. The network through the professors and the students has been incredible. I think it's something longer lasting than just the modules that we'll have and go through. We've built connections with people that are going to be life lasting, and I think that's as important as learning the material. So yeah, I'd go for it.
Yes, go for it. The MBA is always a nice, exciting one. And I'll plug the admissions team. If you do want to go for it, please feel free to reach out to them. And then I'll ask you the same question, Johan. In terms of anyone considering an MBA, what advice would you like to give somebody?
As an entrepreneur, before when running my own firm, I kind of had a clue, a big picture. What I learned from MBA UCL is learning all the tools I can apply, right? So it's really interesting journey for me, because a lot of assignment I've done is based on my previous firm. So it's like break your firm into pieces, and you learn from your mistakes, and you learn those tools. I was never able to produce any analytical reports of my own firm. I don't know who's my biggest clients and who was my most profitable projects, but now I know. So I regretting thinking I'm so brave or bluntly just jump into the industry, become an entrepreneur and had my own firm. I was lucky I didn't lose my house or anything like that. But now I think I'm much more equipped with the tools. So I think for anyone who wants to advance their career, this MBA, UCL MBA made the most sense.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And I love the fact that the program's giving you things that you can use in your own personal and professional context, that is helping you to use something that's going to take you further, or your organization further, into that next frontier. And then for Tom, I'm going to ask you the same question. What advice would you be looking to give anyone considering an MBA at this stage?
So I think for me, the first step would have to be identify the why. I think an MBA is a degree with quite a sort of narrow range of desired outcomes. I think Johan touched on it before. There are usually just a few motivating factors underlying why you want to do an MBA, whether it's to progress upwards, whether it's to pivot, whether it's to move geographies. So I think understanding why you want to do it is a really, really critical place to start. And then once that's in place, you'll be able to identify your target schools and make decisions about in-person versus virtual. I think then the second step is to really spend time researching all your programs that you've come up with as thoroughly as possible. There are a lot of programs out there, both in person and virtual. So for all of the, for your targets, definitely look to connect with faculty and alumni before you apply. They'll be able to answer questions you might have or information you're looking for. I did that. It was really useful. And for me, at that point, the massive selection, it was a lot clearer of a decision to go with UCL. Once you'd done your due diligence and you figured out why, everything lined up for me, and it was a very kind of straightforward decision to make.
Wonderful, and thanks to each of you for that advice. Go for it. learn as much as you can and do your research, I think is really good advice for everyone, and making sure that you're having those conversations and identifying what your why is when you're looking to consider an MBA program. I know we've had a few questions in the Q&A that's come through. One that I think I'm going to ask the panel, and we'll start with you, Wendy. And the question is, what is your favorite subject and your most helpful / useful one to date?
I mean, I would say that the data analytics is probably my favorite and the most useful so far. I mean, I've had 7 modules so far, and I have to say they've all been excellent. So this is a really difficult decision to make, but it is the reason I came to this MBA, and it didn't disappoint. You know, we learned so much. Every week we learned something new, and it was incredible. And I think what I'm going to take from it is, no, I may not be the programmer that's doing our artificial intelligence and understanding our company, but I certainly have a strategic overview of what they're doing behind the scenes, and I could actually manage those people. So I think I just learned so much in that class.
Wonderful. And then over to you, Tom. What is your favorite subject you've covered this far?
So I'm going to be annoying and name 2. I think corporate sustainability for me is a big one. Obviously, my background is sustainability, so it was great to, take everything I knew and contextualize it and commercialize it. So that's a massive highlight. And Paolo runs that class, and for anyone that meets Paolo, he's a pretty impressive guy. So great to get some real world knowledge and experience there. The class I think is probably been most useful, operations management. Definitely a heavy content, in terms of assignments and everything that's required. I can see you are nodding there. We're actually in a group for ops management. But yeah, amazingly useful class, super, super interesting and really, really, really relevant and useful. And I think Wendy and Yuan will both agree that the profs do an amazing job of taking some quite complicated academic material and not only simplifying it, but making it accessible for everyone and making it really relevant to your industry and your working life. And I think that ties back to the MBA as a whole. I think that's a main underlying factor for a lot of people.
Wonderful, thank you. And then finally over to Yuan.
I like the finance accounting. I agree with Wendy and Tom because they picked those 2 subjects already. I do like data analytics a lot. And Neil was my professor. He's so great. Right on point all the time. He's super fast. And the operation management me and Tom just took is we had a lot of fun on the live session. We played a live game. So we like simultaneously run a factory. So 3 of us as a team, we run the factory in 90 minutes and see who made the most profits. That was really interesting. But for me, I think finance and accounting is also very useful because I came from a different country, right? We had a different systems. So I can't read the balance sheets. I don't know what accounting position report looks like. So for me, if eventually I want to become an entrepreneur here in London, that skill is essential. You got to understand financial profitability, how health is your firm performing. So for me, that's an essential tool and essential class to take.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And I think all of the modules are really exciting modules. And as Tom mentioned earlier, all of these modules have been built from the ground up. So the content is new, it's current, it's up to date. It's not something that was created 20 years ago and kind of just reworked for this particular program. And that's what keeps these modules nice and exciting. We had one question around the online nature of the program versus on-campus nature of the program, and I'm happy to answer that question. And we're not considering offering a hybrid program where we have on-campus and online. The UCL MBA program was specifically designed to be delivered online. All of the entire pedagogical approach or the method of teaching and learning that we've gone to designing this program has been focused around ensuring that the program is available online for working professionals from all over the world. So no plans to have this program on campus. The current structure of the program being online is the way that the program will continue to be run. And this wasn't a program we took online because of COVID or the pandemic. This program was in existence and delivered online even prior to the pandemic taking place. So I hope that answers your question, but if there are any other further questions with regards to the way we structure it and why we structure it in that way, feel free to reach out to the admissions team, and we'll be more than happy to talk you through that. Another question was around, does UCL support international students in their visa and accommodation? So with this program being not being an on-campus program, but being an online program, there isn't a requirement for you to physically be in the UK or being in London. So we unfortunately don't assist with those visa applications. I know that some employers all over the world, they prefer individuals that are based in particular locations, but that certainly doesn't close you off to opportunities for employment, either in the UK, if you've taken a UCL MBA program. This is a top program. It's UCL is a really well-renowned institution globally. So definitely having the name UCL will certainly benefit you in terms of that. And ultimately, what's more important is the aspect and the way that we teach this program and have put it together. We're equipping you with the right skill sets to really help you stand out from the crowd. And I think that's really, really important. But Emily, if you do have any other questions that pertain to that, please feel free to reach out to the admissions team, and we can talk to your particular circumstance and help you through any other considerations that you may have. Then I'm going to jump into another one with regards to scholarships and information around tuition. So the cost of the UCL MBA program is £42,500. It is structured on a pay-as-you-go strategy. So because the program is developed and designed to be delivered in a flexible nature, giving you between 24 and 60 months to complete. Within that, we have flexible payment terms, which allows you to pay as you register for those particular modules. So instead of it being large upfront payments that you need to make toward the program, you can structure that in a way that works best for your professional schedule, but also your ability to fund and pay for the program. We do have several scholarships that are available. They are limited scholarships, to be completely honest. And within those, they do work on an application basis. So there's a self-funding scholarship if you are looking to fund the program yourself, and there is the ability to apply for those. The tuition, the Funding Your MBA page on the UCL MBA website does give you all information on that. Once again, plug in the admissions team. They're more than happy to talk you through your particular circumstances and if there are any scholarships that apply to you. So Benjamin, if you do have any further questions on that, please feel free to reach out to the team. Then for the panel, a question here is, what personal quality helped you most during your MBA studies thus far? And I know it's probably a tough question to hit you with off the cuff, but Tom, I'm gonna pick you. You look like you were keen and moved forward in that one. I'm gonna pick you for that one. Is what personal quality helped you most during your MBA studies thus far?
So I think this kind of links back to what we said before. Figuring out your motivations for doing it, because like we've all said, it's an awesome program, but it is a lot of work and it does require a lot of commitment. But if you know why you're doing it and you really engage with it, it's not, oh, I have to do this week. It's, I get to do it this week. So for me, I think the framing there is really important. I think in terms of personal quality, I don't know, proactivity. I like learning new things. I like moving forward. And for me, that's really important. So to the MBA, it is a 10-week term. That's how everything's delivered. So it's quick delivery. You have to get on top of it. You have to be proactive. You have to engage heavily with everything you're doing. So yeah, just being proactive, moving forward. Yeah, that's for me.
Wonderful. Thank you for your answer. And then over to you on what personal quality has helped you most during the MBA thus far.
I'm going to surprise you. I think failure is my reason why I need MBA. Because until you fail, you feel the pain. You knew you have to learn and pick yourself. This journey, this MBA journey, start from applying. When we're doing our 3 assignment about who you are, why you want this, is basic. Break yourself into pieces and reform yourself So it's like the lyrics, what doesn't kill you, make you stronger, right? So the whole process has been like that. All my assignments, a lot of them based to my previous, my entrepreneurial experience. I had my own firm. I did good time, bad time. Eventually I have to close it. So the failure made me really eager, want to learn. And, I think the failure also made who I am today, tougher, hopefully smarter. So yeah, that's my reason.
Wonderful, and thank you so much. I think failure in the business context from an entrepreneurial perspective is always key. I suppose the important thing around failure is how you get back up and you pick up those pieces and continue to move forward in that. And I think that comes with an element of resilience. And that's something which clearly is coming through in the program, is that resilience to be able to pick yourself up and continually move and evolve and keep learning and keep growing. So thank you very much for that response, Tuan. And then Wendy, the same question for you. What personal quality has helped you most during the MBA thus far?
And my attitude. So I think there's a couple of things within that. So generally an attitude, like Tom said, I decided to do it and I was going to do it with, with everything I had. So perseverance in that, but also I'm very curious. I love learning. I just love learning. So that's a big factor for me, is that attitude of being curious and liking learning. And it does make every week really fun.
Thank you. And I think I love that idea of being curious and wanting to learn and wanting to evolve. It's really important. And I think where the modern business environment is right now, we have to continually evolve and learn all the time. And the prevalence of these quick learning opportunities is wonderful. And it kind of speaks to almost how some of the modules are structured and put together. You have these abilities to engage with like bite-sized chunks of information that helps you to learn and be able to go like, well, I don't have to go to the end of the module before I can start applying things in different contexts. So wonderful opportunities. And thank you very much for the responses from each of you. This question is, the next one is what type of students do we generally have on the program, as in terms of backgrounds? And I think this question was probably posed before we started the panel discussion. And I think it's quite clear that we have a diverse group of students on this program, from literally from all over the world, bringing a diverse experience from both professional as well as their cultural backgrounds. And so I think there's really wonderful opportunities for engagement in this. And I'll open the response to anyone on the floor that wants to add anything to this. But the UCL MBA, on average, it brings a depth of experience from the individuals that look to take this program. We have students on the program that have just over the minimum years worth of work experience being 5, all the way right up to individuals having 25, 30, 35 years worth of working experience. And within that, it's people coming from different industries, whether it be pharma, whether they be medical individuals, or being in the beauty sector, or being in sustainability, being in oil and gas, or being in agriculture. They're students that are bringing those different perspectives. This isn't a program full of bankers or full of individuals from the finance sector. It's individuals that are bringing different levels of experience that is helping the class to see things differently, other than the context that they may have seen previously. So I'll open it to the floor, and please feel free to come off mute if you have any other context that you would like to add to that. But I really do think we have a diverse grouping of students that have incredibly interesting backgrounds, which helps in those live classes.
I agree, Ashley. I don't have a ton more to add, but I mean, we have people from almost every country. I know that's hard to think of, but we really do. It's so diverse, and the backgrounds, and that's what makes it so interesting, is diverse cultures and the diverse backgrounds and the sectors that people come from. But yeah, it's everything. I would struggle to find an industry or a country where we don't have somebody. That's very diverse.
Definitely. I think something else is everyone is so open to and interested in engaging with other people. You don't just have to have a class with someone or meet them face to face. It is, I think it was you, Anna, Wendy mentioned the WhatsApp group, like super active. People are putting messages up, daily, if not multiple times a day. You know, there are WhatsApp groups for your different classes, you know, group projects, whatever. So I think people are always wanting to build their network and wanting to meet new people. And, you know, for people at the sort of the start of their career journey, there's so much learnings to be had from the people who are further ahead. And everyone, you know, everyone's really open, you know, open to sharing that. I know I've connected with people from around the world on, you know, on Zoom calls, and you know, when separated by sort of 12, 13 hours time difference, never met, not had a module together, but had, you know, really great conversations. So I think, yeah, I think it's just the sort of, you know, the, not just the diversity, but the keenness to engage, and, you know, bring everything that you can, and, you know, take everything that other people can offer.
I have nothing to add on top of that. I think that's pretty much who we are and who we are. And I think just really exciting, because a lot of time when we do group assignments together, you're going to find very different prospects. So it's hard to, sometimes for me, to glue all the ideas together. So I had one assignment, I had you know, English person, me from China, and South African and American. So 4 of us did one assignment together. So we all bring in very different prospects. So that made the group assignment much better, much interesting. So I think you're going to learn a lot beyond what the async or the module being offering you. So each of us building on top, so made the session even better. So I think that's what you can looking forward to.
Wonderful. I love that. I love hearing that we had 4 individuals engaging with each other at a high level from 4 different continents, really having a rich conversation and a rich experience. So thank you very much for the answers. And I think that wraps up all of the questions that we've had at this stage. I just personally like to thank each and every single one of you in attendance. It's an honor, privilege for us to get to chat about this program and speak to you and speak to some of the interests that you may have in the program. If there are any other questions or anything else that you felt that you weren't able to get from the session today, please feel free to once again plug in the admissions team, reach out. We're happy to engage. We're happy to help you through any questions and queries that you may have, and that's obligation free. Like, we really want to make sure that you're well informed and have everything you need. And then over to Wendy, to Yuan and Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's such a rich experience being able to have a conversation with you and speak to the journeys that you've gone on as part of the UCL MBA, and really do appreciate your time, and thank you. That's a wrap. Martina, thank you.
Hello again from me. Thank you so much. I want to thank you on behalf of our team for joining this session today, and taking from your time to answer all of the questions. I want to remind everyone that they will receive an email with a recording of this session. We hope that we have provided a really interesting perspective on this topic, and probably raised your interest to read more and even apply for an MBA at UCL. Thank you all one more time, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again and wishing you all a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Martina. I really appreciate your help and your effort this far. Really appreciate you and your team.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.